Eilish this week, and she was talking about her childhood and growing up. And she revealed that she started watching pornography when she was just 11 years old, claiming that it was very damaging and destroyed her brain. Here's part of her interview with Howard Stern.
As a woman, I think porn is a disgrace, and I used to watch a lot of porn, to be honest. I started watching porn when I was like 11.
Wow.
And, I didn't understand why it was a bad thing. I thought that's how you learned how to have sex. I think it really destroyed my brain, and I feel incredibly devastated that I was exposed to so much porn.
So, is watching porn at that early an age damaging, or what are the effects? Joining me is a psychologist and sex therapist, Dr. Rachel Needle. Thank you for taking time and joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
So most kids are curious, and you come of age, and you do want to learn about things that you don't know. And 60% of kids say they accidentally do discover porn very early, just like Billie Eilish, between the ages of 11 to 13. But what can be the effects on children when you don't even know, anything, you haven't even maybe been told about sex education in the first place?
Right, and that's the larger issue here. So viewing sexual imagery or pornography before developmentally ready and without any context can absolutely be traumatic. But that's, we tend to blame the porn when the larger conversation is about the importance of educating our kids about sex, right? Sex education to include things like consent, personal boundaries, healthy relationships, sexual preferences, sexual pleasure, and boundaries, and so equality. So one of the most important things is also the difference between fantasy and reality. So not put into context, it can be traumatic, but that makes it more of our responsibility to educate them, because they will either intentionally or unintentionally be viewing porn.
For being a girl human at one point in my life, when you're going through prepubescence and you see something, what happens though with it's also the availability of porn. It used to be it was really hard to get. You had to go get Playboy, Playgirl. It's behind the counter. It's in brown paper. Now it's something that there's the OnlyFans. People can pull up. Pornhub is free. It's so accessible. People don't have to leave their house to get it. But it'd be the effects. Like, you look at these people and they're like full-on adult humans, and you're a child person, and it makes you have problems sometimes with body image, specifically for girls.
Yeah, so we have to talk to our children about the differences in body types and what things look like, and show them pictures. And oftentimes I think one of the problems is that even the adults, right, the parents or caregivers are uncomfortable talking about this. But it is important for this to be an ongoing conversation that you have with your children, that you answer their questions honestly. And, porn isn't meant to be a how-to guide. So my good friend, Dr. Siegel, says, we don't learn how to drive by watching NASCAR. Well, we're not supposed to learn how to have sex or to be sexual beings by looking at porn. So let's put it into context. Let's teach them at age-appropriate levels how to talk about it, how to view it, what it's supposed to look like.
So I have not done any of this. I have 3 boys that are now approaching 15, 12, and 8 years old. And, I think I'm an open mom. Like, if they have any questions, we can talk about, sex and what that is. But I don't know how to handle this. I mean, where did you begin to handle this conversation about pornography?
So again, honestly, and by answering questions and not thinking about it as a talk, right? Talk to them about what they are going to see, the same way you would in a television show if you saw people talk, kids dealing with mental health issues. So this is a larger conversation that needs to be ongoing. Sex is part of, and their development is normal sexual development. They are going to be looking at sexual imagery. So start age appropriately, both emotionally and chronological age, you need to pay attention to, and just start talking to them about what they are going to see.
One thing that Billie Eilish brought up to me that really struck a nerve is sometimes when you're looking at some of this pornography that she spoke about, there was a violence against women, choking. And that's really I don't even know how to have that conversation. How should I have that conversation? Obviously, this is not something that, it's not a realistic expectation, or it's violent, or it's something I don't even want to say you shouldn't engage in it, but it's just that's really disturbing. And I don't know how to frame that in a way to explain that to a 15-year-old or a 14-year-old or an 11-year-old.
Sure. So they're looking at this and seeing it. And so are you, and seeing it as violence. when the conversation can be shifted to talking about consent, and that there are people that are sexually aroused by pain, that this isn't necessarily about violence and about hurting somebody, and that this is a consensual sexual act that is being done on video right now.
This is a very big pot. I want to say, Doctor, thank you so much for helping us delve into this one and just be aware of like thinking about how we tackle these conversations with our children as they arise. But it's certainly, as I know as a mom, is not easy, and I'm going to effort being better in addressing some of these things. Doctor, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And on that note, you can certainly send us your thoughts. We will be right back.
Home is more than a place.